Welcome to episode 5 of Inside Politics, for teens by teens, where I explore the politics and issues impacting our generation. I'm your host, Christina Li, and today we're focusing on the effects of the coronavirus pandemic in Texas. For this, I've invited Naveen Mukkatt, a high school student from the greater Houston area. Naveen, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Kind of bored because of quarantine, but that's to be expected nowadays. So yeah.
Yeah, got it. So, can you talk a little bit about the measures that Texas has put in place in response to the pandemic?
Frankly, Texas as a whole state has not really done much. Our governor is Greg Abbott, and he hasn't really implemented any stay-at-home orders. Although we are expecting some kind of update today. But most of the response is done by cities. Like our county, Fort Bend ISD, Fort Bend County has been implementing measures. Stafford, which is a neighboring city to my city, which is Missouri City, Stafford has banned gatherings of more than 10 people, which is a pretty common measure. So churches are closing, local businesses are just closing down, and people are just refusing to leave homes. So yeah, it's pretty standard.
I see. So, do you feel confident in the fact that your city and state are doing the most they can to protect their citizens?
I really don't think so. Like we've had I'm from my ethnicity is Indian, and today India went on full lockdown with 1.4 billion citizens. So if India can go on lockdown, I really don't understand why Texas, which is already a pretty populated area, especially Houston. Houston itself should go on lockdown, and the fact that we haven't is pretty concerning.
I see. So, in terms of the federal response, do you think that the government should also do more to protect their citizens?
Um, I think for one, if those WHO test kits are available, we should definitely be ordering those. Although President Trump did say that they were not offered any test kits, which is concerning to say the least. But given that most other countries have quick and efficient testing and are able to test many people, especially in comparison to the U.S., the U.S. should work on upgrading its testing capabilities first.
Got it. So, do you have any sort of long-term concerns or short-term concerns in terms of how this pandemic is going to impact your life?
Yeah, for sure. As of long term, I think we'll definitely see like a pretty like don't know how to phrase this, but there'll be some kind of shift in how companies are conducted. Um, after the SARS after SARS broke out, you see China, Japan, South Korea did a pretty good job of handling this new coronavirus outbreak, COVID-19, because they already had measures implemented just in case something like SARS ever were to pop up again. Meanwhile, America, most of Europe, we didn't really plan for this kind of event. So I will think we'll see like more of these measures starting to happen. Now, in terms of short term, like we've all heard of flatten the curve recently, and my concern is what exactly is our healthcare capacity? Like even if we flatten the curve, is it enough to actually bring it to the point where our healthcare system could actually handle this pandemic? Because frankly, it does not look like it. This week we're starting to see an accelerated growth of the coronavirus, and it's not looking quite good, especially for New York City.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Do you have any other sorts of questions that you'd like to know? Just like, I guess, about the pandemic, about our healthcare system, about what the government is trying to do?
Yeah, for one, I'd like to know how the government is going to handle like the prices for coronavirus testing, because honestly, it should be free because the economy is starting to the economy is starting to potentially go into a recession, and it's just slowed down a lot, and many people are starting to become unemployed. I heard something like 2.5 million um, jobless claims in a week. With that kind of stuff, there's no way a lot of people can pay for coronavirus testing and coronavirus treatment as well. And treatment will be very, very. like it'll be a nightmare because there's not enough ICUs, there's not enough ventilators for this kind of stuff.
I see. Is there anything in particular that you've been thinking about in regard to this pandemic?
It's mostly the mortality rate and how a lot of people say it's the flu. It's really, really not, because coronavirus we're looking at we'll say at lower bound. In South Korea, the fatality rate was 0.5%, and then in countries that were not prepared for it, it was up to 3 or 4%. And these seem to be pretty small numbers with no context, but it's like 1 in 200 versus 1 in 50, right? So if you have like, especially with the older population, if you know like 50 adults, and if your parents probably know at least more than that, right? If everyone gets that coronavirus, one of them, it's extremely likely that at least one of them is going to die, right? So the emotional trauma is something that we're going to deal with we're all going to deal with as well.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have any final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I think that over the next coming weeks, I think this week is the week where people are going to start to understand just how bad it can possibly be. And since this is like, we're still in the period of exponential growth, right? Like 2 weeks ago is when the world pretty much turned upside down and everything started to become restricted. And this week is the one where healthcare systems will start to get overwhelmed and slowly break down. And that's my opinions on the subject, but I'm pretty sure that like all in all we're going to come out like emotionally scarred, but we'll be okay. Like we'll get through it.
Got it. All right. Thank you so much, Naveen, for agreeing to be here today. I really appreciate it. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see everybody next time on Inside Politics.
All right. See y'all.
Hey everyone, this is Christina. Thank you so much for watching Inside Politics. Please be sure to check out the outtakes linked in the description, and feel free to check out the rest of the interviews on my channel as well. See you next time!